Hey Magical Sparks, welcome back to my channel. It's Sparkle here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys 5 fun ways to fill your sketchbook. And all these ideas are going to be really aesthetic, easy and cute, so they are great for beginners and for artists at all levels. So without any further ado, let's get straight into this. And the first idea is one that I like to call aesthetic inspired character, but let me explain. So for this first idea, all you have to pretty much do are 3 simple things. Step 1 is to pick an aesthetic. This could be an aesthetic such as, for example, cottagecore or a goth kind of aesthetic. In my case, I decided to go with a pop art aesthetic, which is why I chose a lot of like geometric shapes and a lot of bright colors, but more on that later. The second step is to pretty much get a rough idea of what your aesthetic would look like. For example, if you're doing a cottagecore aesthetic, you might imagine a lot of mushrooms, a lot of flowers, just a lot of natural stuff. And the final step is to design a character based on that aesthetic, which is exactly what I'm doing here. One of the main reasons for why I love this idea is because firstly, there's just so much room for creativity, and secondly, you can choose any kind of aesthetic you want, and everyone's drawing is going to turn out at least a little bit different, if not completely different. Like, you can choose, for example, a really YK2 aesthetic, and your art is going to look so much more different. And also when you're designing the character, it's just really good to push your creativity to the limits, and it's just a really good exercise for your brain as well to come up with ideas, and at the same time you get to design a completely original character, which I think is pretty cool. Also, a really important thing that I want to add is that I do want to make it clear that this idea can be as simple or as complex as you make it. Like turning an aesthetic into a character, you can do the simplest drawing and just finish it off there, or you can go ahead and make this a bit more challenging for yourself. It's literally completely up to you. So in my case, like I said, I decided to go with the aesthetic of pop art inspired by the second half of the 20th century. And I decided to go ahead and use a lot of bright colors, really vibrant colors. And I wanted to use a lot of geometric shapes, specifically triangles. So in my head, I did want to make sure that this was a simple drawing for the sake of this video, because I do want to show you guys things that are simple and achievable by artists at all levels. But it kind of ends up looking a little bit more detailed than I would have liked it in the end. But again, this is completely up to you, and you can make this as simple as you like. So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. By the way, I was really excited to film this video, and I was just so hyped up, and I was doing the editing yesterday. I was completely fine, but now I've got a cold, so if my voice sounds drained or just really tired, that's pretty much why. But let's just try and ignore that. And yeah, that's pretty much that. And by the way, before I go ahead and talk more about the character design for this specific drawing that I made, I also do want to quickly talk about this video type. So I've done another video before where I showed you guys 5 fun ways to fill your sketchbook, and that video got 1.2 million views, which I'm really grateful for. But I do want to make something very clear. This 5 ways to fill your sketchbook trend is not something that I started at all, and I do not in any way claim any credits to the original concept of these videos. And there are just so many artists on YouTube who have also made videos revolving around this trend, and I'm not sure who the original artist who started it was, but if I do find out, I will definitely credit them in the description. And yeah, so this is just something that I made, but I do want to say that all the ideas that I'm specifically showing you guys in this video are all ideas that came from my head. I have not tried to intentionally copy anybody, and if this idea is similar to a video that someone else has made, I promise I most likely not watch that video yet, because these ideas I tried to make them as fresh as I can, and if it does look similar to someone else's idea, I'm really sorry about that. But again, I tried to put myself away from social media while I was coming up with the ideas for this video, and yeah, I tried to make them as original as I could. But anyways, with all that serious stuff out of the way, let's talk more and just have a bit more fun. So with this drawing, like I said, I chose vibrant colors, and I chose to use a lot of geometric shapes, and I went with specifically the colors pink, purple and green. And I was actually quite worried about this drawing halfway through, because it wasn't looking that good, and I was kind of freaking out because I really wanted this drawing to turn out, because I was filming it and I really needed footage for this week. and it wasn't turning out that good. But I stuck with it, and in the end I'm so happy I did, because even though it's not like completely amazing, it's definitely something, and I kind of like it. It was a bit of a learning curve for me as well. Also, for the background, I decided to go with green, which I immediately regretted because it like made the character camouflage with the background. So then I changed it to pink using my Artix acrylic brush pens, which are amazing by the way. And then I just added some white gel pen highlights, and here's the final drawing. Again, you guys can make your aesthetic inspired characters as simple or as complex as you want. Again, all the ideas are up to you. Now the second idea is to create a monochromatic portrait. Now this has been one of my favorite drawing ideas for actually a lot of years, specifically since I started using my watercolors, because it's just so much fun. Like I don't know, it's just fun. So for this idea, all you have to do is pretty much just sketch out a face to begin with, and you can make this as realistic or as cartoonish as you want. For me, I was initially planning to make it look semi-realistic, but then I decided to just draw a character in my style because I wanted to make something simple, fun, and easy. Like I said in the title of this video, something fun, easy, and cute. So I decided to go with my style, and I just sketched out this super duper simple face, which I think took me about 10 minutes. And if I'm being completely honest, one of my favorite things about this idea is just the fact that in the end, it's not really the final product that makes it fun, it's the entire process, because you get to use one color, which I don't know, but like for me it's just really relaxing, and you just get to create something cool. So anyways, once you finish up with the sketch, go ahead and pick out your color. Because I already used green on the page on the left, I decided to go with green for this character as well. Otherwise I probably would have done blue, because I don't know, it's just like blue is just like a really pretty color. But anyways, I did green, and I used like this greenish yellowish color to do the base, which now that I'm looking back at it, it looks a bit more yellowish than greenish. But when I was coloring, I don't know, I was just like so excited to start coloring that I pretty much just picked out this color because it looked kind of greenish. But it all worked out fine in the end. But anyways, as for the shading, I decided to make it really simple and not too, I guess, complex, because I just wanted to go with something simplistic and abstract, and this was not only fun to do, but it ended up looking really pretty and cartoonish in the end as well. And by the way, if you guys are going to try out this idea, I do want to make it clear that you can do anything you want. Like these ideas, like all the ideas in this video are just ideas to help you just get a thought of what you could draw in your sketchbook potentially. But keep in mind that you don't have to do it exactly the way I do it, and if you're feeling brave enough, you can go ahead and do a portrait with 2 colors, or you can do a tricolor portrait, or you can just like pick one color, and instead of doing a portrait, you could paint a scenery. Again, it's completely up to you, and these are just like kind of ideas that I hope will provide you guys with a starting point, or at least inspiration to grab your sketchbook out and draw something. But like I said, completely up to you, and of course you guys can use any color, doesn't have to be green, but I'm just trying to make the point that you guys have a bunch of freedom here and don't feel constrained, because one of the best things about art is just that lack of constraint and the amount of freedom you'll have. So come on, embrace it. Also, I have been getting this question a lot, pretty much every day. I used to get it like at least 20 times a day. Now I'm getting it less, but I'm still getting asked this question a heap, so I thought I'd just like answer it in this video. And that question is pretty much, what markers do I use? Where do I buy them? And what are the brands? So the markers that I love to use the most are definitely alcohol-based markers, just because of how easily they blend and how seamlessly they lay down once you get the hang of it. And I use my markers from a bunch of different brands, including Artix, Ohuhu, and Prismacolor, and just like some other brands as well that I got at my local stationery store. And the next question is, where did I buy mine, and where can you guys buy yours? Well, I can't really answer where you guys can buy yours, but I did get the majority of my markers online on Amazon, and I did get some from my local stationery stores as well. But yeah, I hope that helps at least some of you guys out, because I know a lot of you guys have been really curious about this, and yeah, hope it helps. I've also been getting questions about whether I can make drawing tutorials about specific things like lips, eyes, hands, hair, and all that stuff. I'll see what I can do. I get a lot of requests for that each day as well, and I'm thinking of making a hair drawing tutorial soon. But the other tutorials, maybe I might make them once I master things like how to draw hands and fingers. But yeah, stay tuned, we'll see. And by the way, once I finished up the coloring, I decided to draw a simple background. Then I took my ink brush pen and did the outlining, got my white gel pen to add the highlights, and in the end, here is how the final drawing turned out. In a way, because this page is so busy, it almost gives the illusion that this drawing is super detailed, but if you look at it really closely, you'll see just how simple and easy it was. And I think it took me about 40 minutes or so to make. Would definitely recommend that. But if you guys don't like that, maybe this idea is for you. And this is one that I like to call Fancy Feather. Is the name silly? Yes. Did I choose it? Yes. Am I proud of it? Absolutely. Now let's get on to this idea. Step 1 is to draw a kind of curvy line. Step 2 is to roughly sketch out this almost leaf-like outline. And then step 3 is to add like these little itty bitty kind of mini hair strand kind of shapes at the bottom of the leaf kind of shape. And then go ahead and draw your feather. Or, you know, in simple words, just sketch out a feather. You know, it works either way. You can go ahead and do it like I did, or you can just say, I'll draw out a feather. But you get the point, right? Just sketch out a really messy feather. That is the first step. The second step is to just outline it and make this really nice and messy, and especially make it really loose, because the looser it looks, the more fancier and abstract the final result is going to end up looking. So when I was doing the outlining, I used the same brush pen that I used to ink the previous drawing as well, just because I still don't know how to use brush pens like these, and I'm still getting the hang of it. So I knew for sure that if I were to use this brush pen to do the outlining, it would definitely turn out looking really loose and messy, but that's okay, because like I said, loose and messy is exactly what we want right now. So once I quickly outline the feather, the next step is to grab a finer pen and go ahead and draw out a pattern. Now make this pattern super duper simple and don't overcomplicate it at all, because if you overcomplicate it, it's going to make the next couple of steps a bit more harder for you. So in my case, I just drew out a bunch of lines, added some random patterns in them, some dots, some triangles, some lines, and then that's pretty much it. See this there? That's my pattern. And now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be drawing this again and again and again and again, and you're pretty much going to repeat that one design multiple times all throughout your feather, on like in the inside of your feather. And once you do that, you will end up with this really cool looking pattern. By the way, when I was drawing out this second design, I did kind of mess up. It doesn't look okay, but in the end it doesn't really matter. Like, no one's going to be able to tell, because it's going to be so full and abstract that it wouldn't even matter. So for this idea, I love it because it's so therapeutic and relaxing, and you can just like do it without even thinking about what you're doing, because once you have the first pattern set out, you're pretty much just like drawing the exact same thing again and again and again. So it's like really easy, super simple, and it ends up looking really good. And even if you mess up along the way, no one's going to notice. So like this idea just has so many advantages, and I just think it's so good in so many ways. Also, for anyone who's wondering, the pen that I'm currently using to draw the patterns is my Uhuhu fine liner that I got last year for Christmas. These fine liners are absolutely amazing if you're going to use them with either alcohol-based markers or even watercolors. From what I've seen and from what I've learned by using them, they are actually waterproof, and they are just really good for a lot of different types of mediums. Also, talking about Christmas, who else is excited for Christmas? I am really excited for Christmas. And by the way, I'm actually going to be uploading a Christmas themed video, hopefully right after this one, if everything goes as planned. And I don't want to tell you guys too much about what the video is going to be about, but what I can tell you is that it is going to be a very Christmas themed video with a lot of Christmas themed drawings. I literally cannot talk now, but I'm going to get through this voiceover and we're going to finish it, alright? Anyways, once I finished drawing out a bunch of patterns inside my feather, I decided to grab out my watercolors and just add this really abstract kind of background, because why not? Because it's gonna look even more messier and even more beautiful. And I decided to go with this gradient from blue to aqua to green to a yellowish limeish green color. And voila, here's how that turned out, and I hope you guys like this idea. The next one is one that is super duper easy and it's super duper fun, and I like to call it beautiful blobs. This idea is actually an idea that was something that I have been doing for a lot of years. I have also seen some other like YouTube shorts where people also did like a really similar idea where they drew blobs and then drew faces on blobs, but this one isn't more about faces. It's more about just drawing a bunch of random things, whether that be animals, faces, objects, or literally anything. So the first step to do this is to grab out a marker or pretty much any art supply and add a bunch of blobs of colors. And if you want to, grab out a second color or even a third color, but that's completely up to you. Anyways, once you've got out your random blobs, go ahead and fill them in. You can use markers to do this, you can use pencils, you can use watercolors, paints, anything you want. But when you are drawing your blobs, it is very, very important that you make sure that you do not consciously think about what you're going to draw on top of the blob afterwards. Make sure that your blobs are completely random and that you're completely like not thinking about it when you're drawing the blob. And the next step is to grab out a black pen or fine liner and draw any kind of thing that you see on top of it. And like I was saying just before, a lot of artists I've seen recently have posted shorts on YouTube where they've specifically drawn faces on top of these blobs. But how I've been doing it all these years is I've pretty much been drawing any kind of thing that comes to mind. Like, I saw that orange blob over there and I just thought of this man with like a really big ear, so I drew it. I looked at the other one, I saw a duck, then I saw an owl and a car. I just be really random with it. Like, don't even try and stick with a theme. Just draw any kind of thing you see. Don't even think about whether it's an animal, a building, an object, or whatever it is. Just go really wild. And this is just like one of those things where you really have to trust the process because you don't know what you're going to make, and it's kind of scary because you can't really erase these things. Like, once they're on the paper, they're pretty much there. And I know it's scary, but I really need you guys to trust the process and let your childlike wonder take over you, and let your childlike imagination lead you through this drawing, because you just need to look at the blobs and literally think of anything. It's really simple to do, and it's hard to trust the process because along the way you're going to make some drawings which you might not like, but in the end the page altogether is going to look so full, so nice, so pretty, and it's just going to be a really fun memory for you to look back at maybe in 10 years time. So I would definitely recommend this idea, because even now sometimes when I'm flipping back through my old sketchbooks, I look at these pages where I've doodled on top of blobs, and it just brings back such nice memories of how my thought processes were back then and what I was thinking of, and there's just a lot of nostalgia and happiness to it. But anyways, here's how my final page turned out, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. I love how it looks, and I love making messy art. It's one of my favorite things to do. Not when a good piece turns out bad, but just generally making messy art. Anyways, the fifth idea is to make mini masterpieces. Now that might sound scary, but don't worry, let me break it down for you. And the very first step is to go ahead and fill your page with a bunch of boxes. Now you can either use a ruler like I did here, or if you're feeling really brave, go ahead and freehand it. The next step is to pick out 3 colors, and in my case I decided to go with a green, purple and pink, just because I wanted to make sure that this page kind of matched the page next to it, just so that the entire spread looks a little bit more cohesive. So once you get your 3 colors in each of these squares you have drawn, or in each of like the rectangular shapes you've drawn, pretty much go ahead and draw a bunch of random patterns. Now these patterns, I would recommend making them really simple, because the simpler they look, the more cooler it's going to look in the end. So as you can tell, for my first pattern I decided to just add a bunch of squiggles, like kind of like waves, and then for the next one I decided to draw a bunch of triangles and color them in with all the 3 markers. And the main reason why I want you guys to keep this really simple is because the more simpler it is, the more fun it's going to be for you. Like, just think about it. If I told you guys to paint a masterpiece in each of these boxes, and when I say masterpiece I mean like a full-as Mona Lisa painting in each of these, it's going to stress you out and it's going to feel really overwhelming because there are so many boxes to cover. But because we're doing really simple designs, it's only going to make it fun for you guys, because you can just draw like really simple things. Like, look at me, I literally just drew a flower, and now I'm drawing this like spiral tie-dye thing, which was super duper easy to do. And another good thing is, because we have a bunch of boxes on this page, no matter how simple the actual patterns are, in the end, when someone looks at the page, they're going to look at the entire thing, and it's going to look quite full and quite detailed. So it gives the illusion that this page is like, you know, really full and really amazing, whereas, I mean, it is amazing, but it's actually not that hard. It's actually quite simple, and the process would have been really fun for you guys. But anyways, once you have got all your colors laid out, feel free to grab a fine liner and just add in some more details. Again, make this nice and messy and loose. I tried to make it really simplistic as well, even when I was doing the outlining. And I also left this box really plain with just like this gradient, and in that box I decided to add a quote, as well as in the tie-dye box as well, because I just thought it'll make this look a little bit more, you know, aesthetic and pretty and just a bit more full. And come on, writing one word like the word shine is not that hard. And I also just went ahead and added some mini sparkles here and there with my white gel pen too. And with that was pretty much this page done. And like I said, it looks really full and nice, but the actual process of creating this page was really simple and fun and not hard at all, for me at least. But yeah, that's pretty much how this page looks. I hope you guys like it. And here are all the 5 ideas that we made in this video. And anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it might have helped you out at least one of the ideas, or just like some of the things we were talking about. But anyways, have a fabulous day. Stay awesome as always, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!